everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kat, and for today we have the 4 new Rebel quads from Juvia'S place that we're going to be taking a look at, and I am super excited to show you guys. We're going to swatch everything, I'm going to do a look, it's going to be a thing. I'm probably going to end up doing 2 different looks because I want to see, they do have like 2 more warm toned palettes and then 2 more cool toned, so I kind of wanted to see if I could like combine them, but oh, it's gonna be fun because there's lots of greens today and we know how I feel about greens. So that's what we're gonna be doing right now. All right, so the 4 quads are the grays, which is a whole lot of silver tones, and you have 1 deeper gray. There are 2 shimmer shades, one that looks kind of like a satin, and then a matte shade. The Rebel Honey, which is the gold one, looks like this on the inside, and this is the only shimmer in the entire thing. All of the other 3 shades are mattes, so I thought that was kind of interesting because it does look to me like the majority, yeah, literally every other quad has 2 shimmers and 2 mattes, so it's kind of interesting that the honey one does not. Next we have the mint palette, which is definitely your more cool toned greens. I would say almost borderline more on like the turquoise side rather than like just minty, because this is definitely a mint to me, but both of these shades on this side look way more like they're turquoise rather than mint. This shimmer up top here also looks very interesting, like it might shift between like silver and mint, which would be really cool. So I'm excited to swatch that guy. And then finally we have the Rebel Army palette, which is all the grungy greens, although I will definitely say it's significantly deeper in person than what I was expecting when I saw it online. Like I thought it was going to be more like olivey, but it is, these are definitely deeper shades, and you have 2 mattes and 2 metallics. And I will say that this guy down here looks almost more like it is a olivey gray tone rather than a greenish tone. So let's go ahead and swatch them. So we'll start off with the grays, because I am very interested to see if this is actually a satin shade that's the first one, or if it is a shimmer. And there aren't any shade names, so I'm just gonna from left to right. So first up we have the one that I suspect is more of a satin. Actually, it's more of a shimmer, a little bit more of a shimmer than a satin. Very, very nice. Also not nearly as sheer as a regular shimmer, so I'd say that's pretty close to a metallic. Then we have the shade to the right of that. That is a solid metallic right there, for sure. Definitely makes this one look more like a satin, even though I think that they're both respectively decently shiny on there. This guy is almost borderline at a foil level, but just slightly off. Then we have the first of the 2 bottom shades, which is the last of the metallic ones. Ooh, okay. So as we are looking at these 3, you have what's probably the lightest of the 2. Then this is ever so slightly that it has a bit of a like goldish tone to it, so it's a little bit warmer, and then you have super cool tone silver. But all 3 definitely silver shades, but I would just say this one's ever so slightly more warm toned than this guy. And then the final shade is that matte shade, and that is just a nice gray shade. So also very cool toned for sure. So that is all of the grays. Then we're going to move into the honey palette, and I'm very interested to see how this guy and that guy swatch, because they're both matte shades and they look very similar to me in the pan. So the first one up is that first matte shade. Okay. Very nice orange tone. I mean, that is just a really nice orange. And then we have the shimmer, which is that gold shimmer. All right, very solidly opaque for both of them. I think those are really, really nice. And that's something that Juvia'S place does really, really well, is that their matte shades are super duper pigmented. So that's always really, really fun when you're working with them, because it's like instant color payoff. All right, next up we have a brownish matte shade. Okay, definitely on the warm side. Almost has like a slight reddish undertone to it. And then here's the 4th shade. Okay. So as I am looking at these 4 shades, these 2 do appear very, very similar to each other. I don't think 100% the same, but they are like super close to each other. So that's a little bit of a bummer for this palette, because I feel like with them being that similar to each other, you could have maybe swapped out one of them for another metallic just to kind of go in line with the rest of the palettes. That's a little bit of a disappointment just because I think that's a waste of a shade if they're that similar in tone. Like if this one had maybe been a little bit more yellowy than this one, that could have worked, but they just look so close to each other when you swatch them that, I don't know, because I mean in the palette, maybe ever so slightly this one is a little bit more yellowish and a little bit lighter, but on the arm, they look identical. Next up is going to be the mints. We've got the two metallics up first. So the first one is that silver to mint shifty guy. A little bit sheer, not quite as opaque as some of the others, but that is a really pretty pastel-y shift on there. Very, very nice. Then we have the slightly deeper metallic. There's my mermaid shade. That's all I'm gonna say. That is really, really nice. Those two shades are super duper pretty. Then we have the two matte shades, and the first one is the more greenish of the two. That's a very pastel green for sure. And then the slightly more blue pastel. Okay, a little bit deeper as well. So that is all four shades. Definitely this guy goes really well with that one. Yeah, I think the two shimmers pair very nicely with the two matte shades. I think the only thing that I kind of wish for is that they had maybe made a slightly deeper shade rather than going the blue toned route for this last matte. Like if they had these three shades and then made this one just a slightly deeper version of that pastel green shade, I think that would have looked really nice. All right, from the Army palette, we've got a lot of deeper shades. So first up, we have a deeper evergreen matte. Oh yeah, that is that is just a really good evergreen shade. Very, very nice. Then we have the first of the two metallics, which is definitely the deeper of the two. That is super nice. That is a great olive tone. Not really any shift to it at all, but just a really solid dark olivey green. Then we have the second of the two metallics, and this is definitely more of a like slimy green. Oh yeah, that is a very nice green. Super reflective on there, really pretty. And then the last shade is the other matte, and this is the one that looks a bit more on the gray tone side rather than super duper green. Yeah, this is like if you took this evergreen shade and added like a tinge of like charcoal or black to it, you would get this shade. So that is all four of them. Very nice. I think that this green offsets the deeper shades really, really well. All right, so these are all of the shades from all four palettes. Definitely an interesting mix of shades. I think, do I want to challenge myself? Because I feel like if I put the cool tone shades together and then the warm tone shades, that's fairly what you would expect. I kind of wonder if I want to flip it up where I use the mint shades with the golds and then the greens with the silvers. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna, we're gonna have some fun with this. All right, so I think I will start off with the easier of the two, which is the silver and greens. Yeah, I definitely think that's the easier way to go first. And then we can go into the mint and gold shades after that. All right, I zoomed you guys in a little bit for this and I moved the hair a little bit out of the way. So first up, we're gonna start off with this light silver shade and just gently pack that into about the inner third. There's a cricket right outside my window and he is just singing his people's song. All right, I think next I'm gonna go into that deeper evergreen shade. We're gonna slowly apply that to the half. Very gently blend it together with it because it's gonna get deep very quick otherwise. I don't really want like a super defined line on there. And then for the very last little bit, we'll go into that deeper shade, and that'll just go in the ever so slight back end on here to deepen it out. ever so slight, a little bit of fallout with that lighter of the green shades. This guy right here, just a smidge, but not a lot at all, and so it's very easy to just dust it away. For the under eye, we are also going to start off with that same silver shade, just ever so slightly, and then we'll blend it out with the darker gray shade for the back end. So then to add a little bit more shimmer on top, we're gonna go into this shade on top of that guy on the inner third there. Then we'll go into the medium green and then the deeper green, and that'll just be on the lid that we will gently pack those guys on so that you still have more of the matte tones above it. I will say that trying to make like a good blend between a cool toned silver and a very warm toned green is tricky. But I think it turned out well, and especially having on the back end that deeper green to kind of assist that is also a little bit more on the warm tone side because it's more olivey. I think that really helped out quite a bit, so it does blend very seamlessly on the back half. That front half was just a bit tricky trying to go back and forth, but I am going to go ahead and tightline and throw on mascara, and then we will come back for the other eye look, which I have a feeling is going to be even more ridiculous. Because how do you blend mint with gold? Riddle me that one. All right, and we are back, so I'm gonna come in close, and I don't really know what possessed me to pull the pencil liner all the way to the inner corner and then up over, because I usually never do that harsh of a liner, but really felt like getting a little bit of that, what is it, either cat or fox eye look, I guess. But I think the whole eye look turned out really, really nice, very pretty. Super interesting smoky eye, and so I really like it, but we know I love my green tones, so I will never fault a green eye. So now we get to move into what's gonna be a trick, trying to figure out how to make an eye look for these guys. So here we go. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna end up doing for this eye look is actually very similar to a look that I tried to recreate a few weeks ago with the pastel palette, and it didn't really work out so well, and so I'm kind of wondering if these tones might be pigmented enough that it will work out for them. So what it's going to be is I'm going to kind of do, on the front half of the top lid is going to be blue, back half is going to be gold, and then on the bottom half, we're gonna have on the inside half is going to be gold, and then the outside half. So you're gonna have like opposing colors on both the top and bottom lid. I'm gonna give this one a go, see if it goes better with these slightly deeper tones than the super pastels I was working with before. So that's what we're gonna do. So for the orange side, I think we're gonna just jump in with this guy, and then we'll use the turquoisey blue for the other side, because I think that the green is just too pastel-y. I need that deeper blue. And then we'll go in with some metallics to touch it up. So I've marked where I want the blues to be, so now we're just gonna go into the oranges. So I will say that upon application, I did end up dipping into this guy because this one was coming off a little bit almost more brown toned, and then as soon as I went in with this guy, it like lightened it up to a little bit more of a yellowish tinge. And so even though the swatches look very similar and in the pan it looks very similar, there is that slight bit of difference to where that first shade does have a little bit more of a yellowish tone, and the other one is definitely more of like a grungy orange. So they are different. I want to make sure I point that out. Oh man, this is turning out so much better than it did with the pastel shades. And I think it's just because the pastels weren't quite deep enough of shades to get it to show up. but this is coming out way better. Okay, I'm not mad about this at all. We're gonna go ahead and go into the shimmers. And so I am going to start off with the deeper of the two shimmers, that kind of turquoisey one, and we'll just apply that a little bit to the lid. And then we'll go into the gold one just ever so slightly, a little bit on there, because I want to keep that more on the orangey rather than gold side. And then we'll go in with this guy ever so slight, just to give everything a bit of a shimmer. So I'm going to go in with a very light fluffy brush for that one, because I don't want it to be super built up. I want that to be just like adding shine to everything. That is actually turning out really, really great. I purposefully went in super light-handed with the gold, and so it just has like ever so slight of a shine that it added to it. But now we're gonna go in with that super floof brush, and it's just gonna be ever so slight, yeah, of adding a little bit of shine everywhere, almost just like a little bit of a highlight around the whole thing. All right, I did end up buffing it out just a little bit more to take the color a little bit further on all the sides. It came together so much better this time. Okay, I think this is such a cool eye. All right, I am going to tightline and throw mascara on, and then we're gonna see what the final thing looks like. But I am so much happier with how this one turned out than how I did the last look. And yeah, oh man, okay. I think they're both super cool already. All right. Let's just finish this up. All right, it is all done, and oh man, I am loving it so much. So here's the final look from my left eye, and similar how to like everything is reversed on the eye, the liner is also reversed. So you have orange lining up with the blue, and then a little bit of blue lining up with the orange. And it turned out so much better this time, where the colors are just super duper pigmented. So I am so happy with how this turned out. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do with my hands at this point. It just looks so much better. I'm really happy that I got all 4 quads. I was kind of on the fence. I'd even done like an Instagram poll where I was like, what do you guys think of these? And it was like literally 50-50. So I was like, thanks. That helped me so much to decide. So I ended up just going with all 4 of them, and I'm so glad I did. I love both looks. I think all of them on their own are very good palettes to get. I will say that out of all of them, I think that probably my favorite one would either be the green one that we have on here or the gray one. Those are probably the 2 that I like the most just on their own. I think that the mint one, if it had like one shade in addition to these to just kind of deepen it up, I think that would have just really been what it needed. And I think with this one, even though we definitely found out that this guy is very differently pigmented than this one, like it's definitely, it actually is more pigmented than this guy is, but also runs a little more on the yellow side rather than like a brownie side that this one does. And so I think that at the end of the day, this one is also really nice. I just kind of wonder what it would have looked like if they had 2 metallics and 2 mattes instead of just the 1 metallic on that one. But all of the shades worked really nicely together. The only thing I will say is that for the shimmer formula, to get it to show up, you definitely did have to use your fingers or some kind of glitter primer just to really get it to add some shine. On this eye, that wasn't as big of a deal for me because I was already kind of just looking for like ever so slight some shine on there. But for this one, I was wanting like a decent amount of shine, and so I had to go in with my finger just to make sure that it was popping the way that I wanted it to. But I would love to know what you guys think of both looks. How did they turn out? Which one did you like more out of both of them? Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. Let me know either way. And if you made it to the end of the video and you have not yet subscribed, I would sure love it if you would subscribe. We talk a ton about indie brands on here, do super colorful looks. Sometimes I challenge myself, sometimes I don't. But either way, I would love it if you join my family on here. In the next video, that is when I am breaking down my birthday giveaway for you guys, and there's like several $100s worth of stuff in that giveaway, so I am super excited for you guys to see it. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss when that video is coming out. I believe it's going to be posted probably sometime around like Wednesday, but yeah, that is coming up, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But other than all of that, you guys just go have a good one.